Thousands of Israelis have joined the families of hostages still being held in Gaza to protest in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. They accuse Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of not doing enough to negotiate the release of those being held captive by Hamas. The demonstration comes as Israel's military pushes on with its offensive on Gaza City.
The families of hostages and their supporters are calling for a ceasefire to bring the remaining captives back. They want Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to negotiate an end to the war in Gaza.
Every day that passes, every night of bombing could be the last night for the hostages in Gaza, who have been surviving for almost 2 years. Every blast they take could turn them to dust. Every tank shell could kill them. Every movement of soldiers nearby could end in a bullet to the head. Every day, every hour, every second, even now.
The protests in Israel underscore widespread frustration among the population. Many fear that the government's strategy puts the lives of the remaining hostages at further risk.
It's time to say enough is enough. Stop the war, end the war, release the hostages, stop the ethnic cleansing in Gaza.
This war should be stopped. The hostages should be released. The people of Gaza should be saved.
This war is a senseless political war, right? It was time to stop it.
Despite domestic and international pressure, Israel is pressing on with its offensive in the Gaza Strip. Footage released by the Israeli army on Saturday showed their ground operations in Gaza City, which they say is Hamas' last major stronghold in the territory. Meanwhile, Hamas has warned that hostages may disappear if the Israeli assault continues. Around 20 of the remaining 47 hostages are believed to be still alive, and their families want to see their loved ones return home safely.
Let's get more from journalist Sophie von der Tann in Tel Aviv. Hello, Sophie. So families of hostages are extremely worried about their loved ones as Israeli forces push ahead with the offensive, especially after Hamas says they may, quote, disappear. What do we know about the situation for the hostages?
So it's very hard to say and to know what the situation of the hostages actually is. We don't know where they are. We don't know how they are. 48 are still in the Gaza Strip, and about 20 are believed to still be alive. And even though one of the stated goals of this Gaza City offensive is to rescue the hostages, the worry of both the hostage families and reportedly also of many Israeli military officials is that the opposite may happen, that Hamas may execute hostages as especially troops are drawing closer. This has happened in the past, and that hostages can also be killed in the heavy bombings.
Right. Talking about Israeli offensive, what's the latest on that in Gaza City?
So I've been along the border with Gaza on the Israeli side several times this week. As you know, we're not allowed to enter Gaza independently as journalists, so this is all we can do at the moment, trying to get an impression of what is happening inside. I could see the massive destruction along the border fence in these areas close to the border, and I could see plumes of smoke rising after airstrikes, and especially in the evening hours after it got dark, heavy machine gun fire as well. But from what we're hearing from our sources on the ground in Gaza, they're telling us the troops on the ground in Gaza City are actually advancing fairly slowly, in contrast to the rhetoric also of the Israeli military and the Israeli government. And this seems to be in tune with the criticism, especially also reportedly from the IDF chief of staff, Zamir, who is reportedly against this operation because it endangers hostages as well as soldiers. So there seems to be a rather slow and cautious approach in this ground offensive at the moment.
Right. And do we know how many people are still trapped in Gaza City and, the conditions they are in?
So according to estimates of the Israeli military, around 400,000 people have left Gaza City. That means that around half are still in the city. And we are working with several local camera teams on the ground. They have decided to leave because of the heavy attacks and because of this, the constant orders by the Israeli military to leave. But many actually do stay. And they say, well, there are no safe places in Gaza anyway. The situation is only worse if we go south. And if we die, we'll die here. And many can also not afford the very high costs of fleeing. According to the United Nations, it costs a family around $3,000 to flee to the south. There is hardly any fuel. You can see along this long track of people fleeing, often donkey carts, because people don't have any other means to flee. And we also have to bear in mind that there are many people who are very, very weak after months of starvation. We're talking of women, children, old people, sick people. They don't have the strength to flee, and that's why a lot of them, despite the heavy bombing and despite the constant orders to leave, actually also decide to stay.
Right. Journalist Sophie von Tann in Tel Aviv. Thank you.
Gaza's Hamas-controlled health authority says dozens more people have been killed as Israel presses ahead with its offensive in Gaza City. Pressure on Israel has been mounting, with Portugal the latest country saying it will recognise Palestinian statehood. Next week, the United Nations holds a special session on a two-state solution.
Another day in Gaza. Another series of deadly Israeli strikes. Dozens were killed in Gaza City, the Hamas-run health ministry said. Al-Shifa hospital was once again inundated with casualties, some of whom were dead on arrival. Local people said only civilians were sheltering in makeshift tents between ruined buildings when the missiles struck. Israeli forces have dropped leaflets telling civilians to leave the area for a designated humanitarian zone in Al-Mawasi to the southwest. Palestinians say most routes out have been closed and getting to the already overcrowded area is hazardous.
Here are today's warnings. Go out to the south. Where do we go in the south? The people there need money. A meter of land to pitch a tent went up by 20 to 50 shekels. Nobody has money, and there's no work, no jobs, nothing.
Israel says that Hamas remains a serious threat. The militant group has threatened to disappear the remaining Israeli hostages it holds. As the fighting gets closer, many are still trying to escape.
Look at the Palestinian people. At the very least, we need a truce so that people can live in safety. The children are gone, the elderly are gone, the young are gone. Where should we go? Not a stone left, and houses are no longer our home.
Israel insists that the only route to peace is by eradicating Hamas. But in a war now nearly 2 years old that Gaza health authorities say has killed at least 65,000 Palestinians, patience with Israel is wearing thin. France, Britain and Portugal are due to follow Spain in recognising a Palestinian state after repeated international reports criticising Israel for its conduct in the war.